Wait, let me get cozy. One sec, guys. Hold on. Ellie's trying to get cozy. Let her find her spot. One sec. One sec. One sec. Started recording a little too early. All right. I think we're good. All right. Wait. Hold up, Ellie. So my coffee. I am sorry we did not stream yesterday. I literally got back when I was supposed to stream. I'm like, oh man. And then I was like, let me just put it unlisted for now. And then I realized, damn, it's like 8 p.m. I don't think I'm gonna be able to stream today. So I do apologize for that. But you know what? I think me and the missus, we had a good little Friday night date. So I do apologize for that. But Saturday morning, which is today, okay? Saturday morning, Sunday morning, tomorrow. I'm sorry, I lost track of time. Is it Saturday or Sunday? Okay, mouse tripping out. Today's Saturday. I don't think I'm doing anything tomorrow morning. Maybe gonna work out with the missus early. You know what? Not maybe. We need to work out. And then after, I should be able to stream. That being said, today we are reading chapter 225, On the Shoulders of the Giants. The goal is to read for about an hour or so. I've been setting up my Kindle a lot, which has been fun. I bought this little pop socket, you know, I bought a magnetic one. So I can just take off the magnet whenever I want. It's kind of hard to do it, but you can do it. Wow, that's a fucking good magnet. Holy shit, dude, what? No way. Wow. I am so, what? Wait, hold up. This is too good. Now I can't take it off. I was planning to pop it on my phone, but I can't even do that anymore. All right, let's just get reading. Chapter 225 is called On the Shoulders of the Giant. Are we all going to be okay? I believe so. Well, will we find out? Hopefully we find out this read through, this react. If not, maybe when we get live, we get closer to the finale. Because we're almost there, bro. 125 more chapters, and we are fucking done with the Forgotten Shores. I am excited. And if you guys want us to continue the second arc, let me know down in the comments. I think we will. I'm feeling good. I think I'm going to keep reading it, but we'll find out. Because my original intention was to read this weekly back in the day when we just started it like 6 months ago. Read it weekly. And hopefully by then we've killed enough time for the web novel to come out. And we've gotten like a grasp of it. And then we like transition to the web novel. I mean, I'll be honest. I think we're going to be doing both at this point because it's really, really fun. I'm liking it. But we'll find out. We'll see where the pendulum is swinging when it drops. All right, once they climbed all the way to the broad shoulders of the statue, they found a suitable place to make camp. Everyone looked down without having to say anything. Far below them, the giant nest was still aflame. The cables that constituted it were melting and turning it into rivers of liquid metal. Flowing down from the edges into the vast abyss of the canyon, the turbulent black waters were rising from below to meet them when the two streams met, one lightless, the other incandescent. Billowing columns of hot water vapor shot up into the air. For a few moments, it seemed as though the light and darkness were on equal footing. But then the cursed sea rose from the depths of the canyon. It surged and washed away the brightness of the melting iron away. Oh, so it's okay, it's coming in. It's nighttime. The flood of the blackness crashed into the burning nest, dousing it. A minute or so later, the white flames were gone. The surface of the dark sea continued to rise as though nothing had ever happened. Sunny sighed and turned to Nephis. Are we okay? Now that they had reached their goal, it was time to face the real danger. With a grim expression on his face, he asked, "So what now?" I'll tell you what's going to happen now. I'm going to sip my coffee. Hope you guys are having a good morning. Oh, I forgot to loop the music. Let's do that first. So what happens now? He knew the general concept of how she was planning to reach the southern edges of the Forgotten Shore in a short time, but not the details. Changing Star glanced at him, lingering for a moment, and then said, "Wait, I think I know what it is. If we are at the... I figured it out. We are at the utmost part, right? We're at top of the statue. It says right here, canyon. I think I read canyon. So they're at the very top. They're at the top at the high tide. So I assume they're just going to ride the wave down as it descends when morning comes. I think I might be wrong. We arrived at the canyon faster than I expected. There are still 2 days left before we can act. Oh, never mind. So make yourself at home. We'll rest tomorrow and start preparing for it the next day. Senator replied, "Rest, that sounds well." Plus, he wasn't really looking forward to making use of the fast and comparatively safe method of traveling through the labyrinth that Nephis had talked about. In fact, he would rather have never have to use it at all. Just like that, before the cohort found itself with nothing to do for the next 2 days before leaving the Dark City, Changing Star had anticipated that the various things could slow them down and paddle the schedule of the expedition with extra time. Who knew that they would actually make it to the Broken Bridge so fast? In any case, Sunny wasn't complaining. He had a lot to think about. For example, the mysterious connection between his Tachi Effie spear and the headless statue that stood around the Forgotten Shore. The statues represented the 7 valiant heroes that had made an oath to return a light to the cursed lands thousands of years ago. Sunny had seen 3 of them by now: the knight, the graceful woman, and now the mighty warrior. Did every statue have a connection with a specific memory? If so, what was the connection, and why was Nephis so reluctant to share this information with everyone? I wonder if it's kind of like the 7 statues represent the 7 characters of the Forgotten Shore. Sunny, Castor, Kai, Harus, Nephis, Cassie, and Effie. I wonder if it represents the 7 of them, maybe. Like, maybe it was a prophecy that foretold of them thousands of years ago, right? Before they showed up. Well, it wasn't like he and Changing Star were very close now. Sunny had drawn a clear line to denote the nature of their relationship himself. He insisted that he was not a true member of the cohort, but merely a hired specialist. Why would she share her secret of him? This was a logical conclusion, but Sunny couldn't help but feel a bit of resentful. Despite the fact that he was her first partner now, the situation had changed. Nephis had other people to rely on, like Castor, so why would she say that Sunny was the only person she trusted in the Forgotten Shore, except for Cassie, and then hide her technique from Castor? Everything felt so complicated. Sunny, I'm gonna keep it $1.50. You know why everything felt so complicated? Woman, am I right? Just like, you never know what they're thinking, man. It's like, so y'all always gotta, babe, I love you. I'm sorry. That was a mean joke. I'll shut up now. In any case, there was an invisible line drawn between the core members of the hunting party and the outsiders, Sunny and Kai. No one consciously avoided them, but it was clear that the line existed. When all was said and done, the 4 true members of the cohort preferred each other's company. That's why Sunny and Kai ended up spending a lot of time together, chatting about this and that, and generally having a nice time. Honestly, Sunny couldn't complain. As far as companions went, the charming archer was not the worst option. Plus, their conversations were extremely entertaining. Kai had a lot of fun stories about his life as a celebrity, while Sunny had plenty of macabre anecdotes about his life in the outskirts. Their life experience was so vastly different that it was almost as if they were from different worlds. As a result, both felt that they were listening to fictional stories about some strange and fantastical land that they had never heard about before. Sunny spent the rest of his time training with a sword, trying to turn Shadow Dance from an ethereal concept into a practical set of core principles. The progress was painfully slow, but now there was progress at least. He was having so much trouble because his chosen battle style was so strange and elusive, but it's going to be one of the most deadly, bro. Once he's able to master this shit, pretty sure it's going to be one of the most deadly, battle styles once he learns it. Unlike most styles, which started with certain movements and steps, this one was supposed to imitate any movement and any step instead of introducing its own. Oh, so it's reactive. Oh, I'm stupid, like a shadow. It's a reactive battle style. Got it. So it was more about the state of mind and the flexibility of his physical behavior. Sunny had to create a set of training exercises that would allow his body and muscle memory to become capable of adapting to any style and turn pliable like a shadow. On the first day of trying, his whole body ached. Despite his incredible physique, shape, and experience with tough training, Sunny ended up straining the muscles that he hadn't even known he had, and forced those that he did about how to behave in a way that was utterly different from what they were used to. Actually, his previous training was even detrimental to the whole process. He had to make himself unlearn a lot of things and allow this strange style to take root in his very bones. Thankfully, the foundation of his technique was Changing Star's flowing style, which itself was designed for maximum adaptability. So that's a good thing. If Sunny learned another star or was further into mastering any existing technique, this would have been 10 times harder, if not impossible. Needless to say, his experience were in no, I would say their encounter was fated. Maybe. Needless to say, his experiences were in no way similar to the beautiful and graceful dance he had seen in his dream. In fact, from the side, Sunny must have looked as though he was having a seizure. He caught more than one amused star while practicing. It didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was that he was slowly pushing himself towards mastering the basics of shadow dance and hopefully receiving his first relic. Oh, it's gonna be so good when we get his first relic. The Fool! I'm sorry, are we reading Lord of the Mysteries or Shadow Slave? I'm sorry, you guys never told me we were reading Lord of the Mysteries. This chapter is called The Fool. Oh man, I'm excited. This is hype as fuck. I'm sorry. I am sorry for all the Lord of the Mysteries references. As you can tell, or maybe if you look at our biggest 240 plus YouTube video playlist, I mean, one would say I am a Lord of the Mysteries fan. So, and that's like the only web novel I've ever completed. Besides Debate, it's still ongoing. But anyways, chapter 226 is called The Fool. I just realized at some point within the next hour of my free time, I have to change and get ready. But because I still want to keep reading, we're going to min-max this 1 hour morning. And we're going to do it all at once. I mean, hold up. You're not going to see that. You'll just see a little time jump. And then I'll be ready. So let me start again. Chapter 226 is called The Fool. On the evening of the first of the 2 days that they had at their disposal, Sunny climbed all the way to the highest point of the statue and sat there alone looking at the setting sun. He felt as though he had to find a sense of balance that he had lost at some point along the way. Not because he missed it, but because he was going to need the balance to remain firm and steady when the moment of the truth came. If he was right about the future, then this was probably the last day of peace he would experience until this whole thing was over. Not only the expedition, but all of it. Looking back, his behavior in these past few months was highly erratic. Where were the cold rationality and ruthlessness that saved him so many times in the past? The caution and the devious cunning that allowed him to survive the first nightmare. He had not been acting like himself for a long time. He's getting comfortable, bro. Homie, man, this dude, he's getting cozy. It's time, bro. It is time for Ruthless Sunny. I'm down. I'm ready. I'm ready for him to flip his switch and it goes all ruthless again, and cunning, and mysterious, and he's gonna be slithering in the shadow. Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. Yes, his mental state had suffered greatly because of everything that had happened, but was it the only reason? Come to think of it, the first blow dealt to him was a bitter revelation that there was no gateway in the bright castle. Yeah, I feel like that would fuck up your psyche, like a lot. After everything that Sunny had endured to make it to the Dark City, the crushing intensity of their journey through the labyrinth, the diabolical trap of the Soul Devourer, and their escape from it, the cold and harrowing night of the traversing the Dark Sea, all of it turned out to have been for nothing. Not only were they not rewarded for their efforts, but all of their hopes were miraculously destroyed and obliterated instead. This alone was enough to drive a person mad. Then came the feeling of alienation he felt while living with Nephis, Cassie, and all the newcomers in the outer settlement. Instead of finding the support of and solace in the company of his friends, Sunny fell into his old habit. Unconsciously, he turned himself into an outcast to prevent anyone from making him one. This was the most noticeable, but not the only instance of him regressing to his old self. After fighting so hard to change and grow. Wow, I can't read. After fighting so hard to change and grow, Sunny ended up abandoning most of the lessons he had learned after becoming infected by the nightmare spell. He was almost like an addict relapsing after a few days of sobriety and giving up completely because of this one small mistake, but who could blame him? Sunny was already shaking under the pressure of the situation. One little push, he would have to fall under its weight. In the end, it was not one, but 3 blows that shattered him completely, as though... 3? What are the 3? As though the world wanted to make sure that he was truly broken. First was the terrible epiphany of what Cassie's vision really meant. Almost instantly after that, while Sunny was still reeling, came to the fatal mistake in the conversation with Harper and the brutal murder that followed. And if that was not enough, the person he relied on the most to keep his sanity in the cursed place Nephis made it impossible for him to trust her any longer. Anyone would have collapsed under that weight, and yet Sunny managed to keep his balance, even if just barely. The final straw that finally broke him was the excruciating, never-ending sea of torturous pain he suffered after being mortally wounded by the Black Knight. After that, Sunny had relinquished all pretense of having control, and now here he was, playing the fool, acting like a fool. I would say he's implementing the acting method to a T. Playing the fool, acting like a fool, and fooling around with Kai and Effie. Wasn't it fun? Wasn't it easy? Yes, his mental state wasn't great, but it was also very convenient to blame everything on his condition. The truth of it was that Sunny did not try to rein himself in at all. In fact, he was welcoming this madness. Madness? A mad Sunny? I'm down for that. In fact, he welcomed this madness. Being a bit crazy was comforting, simple, and safe. Oh, I am so down for this persona. I am so down. Do you guys remember an LOTM? A certain fool personality, a certain mad fool personality. I'm kind of down for that. I'm kind of down for Sunny to have that little arc. Being a bit crazy was comforting, simple, and safe. It protected him from having to look at the heartbreaking truth and remembered it. Sunny needed the shield of madness to save himself from the bottomless despair that threatened to destroy him completely. So what if he was prone to acting recklessly in this state? So what if he made mistakes here and there and took unnecessary risks? Anything was better than having to face the despair. Just like Nephis, he said, one had to become a little insane to survive in the world that had gone mad. Wow. And yet Sunny knew that what he was doing was nothing but hiding his head in the sand. And now that the end was approaching, he had to stop hiding from the truth. He had to admit it and endure it. This was the only way for him to survive. As the sun disappeared behind the horizon and the absolute darkness drowned in the forgotten shore. Good morning to you too, Ellie. Drowned in the forgotten shore, he sighed deeply and whispered, all right, it is time to wake up. No, Ellie, it is time to go back to bed. The next day, 6 humans were standing at the edge of the vast canyon, and the twilight of dusk drowned. Are you growling? You grumpy little dog. Come here. The next day, 6 humans were standing at the edge of the vast canyon. I'm gonna read to you before bed now. At the vast canyon, as the twilight of dusk drowned the world in shadows, far below them was the black waters of the cursed sea were raging, rising from the depths in a terrifying, obliterating wave. In a few minutes, all light was going to be completely gone, and then the flood of darkness would wash over the world, destroying anyone left standing in its path. And yet the humans were not rushing to get away. Instead, they just stood there and waited. Wow, look, Ellie got out of this little bed, this little makeshift bed I made for her, just so she can go lie on this bed. Look at her. Look at this spoiled dog. This girl, Ellie, you get 3 meals a day. You get like 3 hours of playtime. Okay, no, she gets like 10 hours of playtime, but then I play with her a little bit less. Point is, man, this dog is living like the 5-star treatment, and she's not. I don't want to hang out with you. I'm gonna go sleep by myself because you're so loud and annoying. Look at that. Look how she treats me. We've been together for 2 years, and she's like, you know what? You're too easy. You're too loud and annoying. I'm gonna go sit far away from you because I don't want to hear you yapping in my ear. You know what? All right, I get it. It's cool. It's cool. She needs her personal space. She's at that age, right? What's every year in dogs is 7 years, so she'd be like 14 right now, right? Is that accurate? She's in her. You know what? Ellie's in her teenager phase. I can't blame her. That's all right. We all have our teenager phase. It's okay. We all have our like moody, mad phase. It's okay. Oh, just like Sunny. Just like Sunny. Okay. All right. I'll let it pass. All right, but you better stop, Ellie. In like a few 3-4 months, you gotta chill. All right. You hear me? Look at me. Hey, I'm talking to you. No? Okay, she didn't turn around. Are you sure about this? Changing Star did not spare him a look and simply nodded, despite the fact that the rising black water was quickly approaching them. Her face was calm and composed. A moment later, I think she's biting herself. One sec. Hey, what happened? Okay, wait, hold up. Let me try and multitask. A moment later, the last vestiges of the sunlight disappeared, leaving them in utter darkness. The silence that surrounded them was The silence that surrounded them was broken only by the sound of waves rushing against the walls of the canyon, getting closer and closer. Prepare yourself, sunny side. What's about to happen? Here we go. Suddenly, a blinding burst of white light pierced the darkness, holding the incandescent sword in her hand. Nephis closed her shining eyes for a second and then raised her sword high above her head, as if calling the monsters of the depths to come and take her. Is that a good thing? I'm sorry, it's like fucking Shadow of the Colossus when you're like shining your sword in the sky and everything gets illuminated. Fuck is going on? I'm sorry. It's like, if there's one thing you learn when you're like learning what not to do in the wilderness when you're camping, or I mean, if you watch Lord of the Rings, don't have a bonfire in the middle of nowhere where it's pitch black, because then all the creatures can see it and will come to it, you know? I feel like that's wilderness 101 right there. I feel like everybody should know that. This is a bad idea. Somehow this bad idea is comparatively safe. How the fuck does that make sense? Chapter 220. Well, I mean, I guess we're gonna find out, right? Chapter 227 is called Comparatively Safe. All right, let's find out. The embrace of the impenetrable darkness was broken by the fierce white light of Changing Star's incandescent sword. Illuminated by it, 6 people were standing on the shore of the raging river. Their faces were pale and grim. The canyon had disappeared, consumed by the rising surge of the black water. Now the cursed sea was flowing over its edges, ready to swell and flood the narrow passages of the great labyrinth in an unstoppable wave. Sunny felt cold water wash over him and his feet and shivered. The rest of the cohort reacted exactly the same. Even Kai, who could escape the lightless skies at any moment, seemed to be deeply unnerved by the closeness of the encroaching sea. Among the 6 of them, only 3 had truly experienced the perils of the dark abyss. They knew that the real dread came from not knowing this, came not from the sea itself, but from the terrors they hid in the cursed depths. Oh, okay. Like the host of the whispering voices that they had heard beneath the branches of the soul tree. Oh wait, let me scroll down. Or the gargantuan creature that had almost called Nephis her life. However, Sunny was not going to make a remark to educate the rest of the cohort. After all, what they were trying to do right now was to summon one of the terrors from below. These motherfuckers are actually gonna ride a sea creature like Aquaman. What? One that was different from all the others. Sunny, peering into the darkness, he lingered. I don't see anything yet. Ellie, why are you licking my hand like that? The water was already to his shins and rising swiftly. Sunny grimaced. Oh, by the way, man, I've been playing these sports with my friends, and there's one thing I've learned. My shins... Hold up, don't want to show my feet. My shins are aching, bro. It is so bad. Oh, my goodness. I need to do, like, shin training, bro. Oh, my goodness. Like, I need to, like, condition my shins. So if you guys have any recommendations, if anybody that's more athletic than me knows how to condition their shins, please let me know. I don't see anything yet. The waters were already to his shins and rising swiftly. Sunny grimaced and struggled with the desire to turn around and run away without looking back. If he was fast enough, if he was lucky enough, he could still make it to the giant statue before the torrent of the darkness drowned him under its crushing weight. Instead, Sunny glanced at Nephis and Cassie. The blind girl had glimpsed this secret of the forgotten shore in her visions and shared it with Changing Star. Changing Star had devised a plan to make use of it. Both of them were confident that they were going to succeed, so he was going to be confident too. Sunny didn't fully trust either of his former companions, not anymore, but he trusted their judgment. Just at the thought that appeared in his mind, there was a subtle movement at the edges of his vision. Turning his head, Sunny stared into the darkness and trembled. It's here. Out there in the distance, a massive shape was coming through the waves, attracted by the light of Changing Star's incandescent blade. The sea seethed and swirled around it, the black mass of the water easily pushed away by the approaching creature. Nephis gritted her teeth and somehow made her flames burn even brighter, forcing the darkness to retreat another dozen steps. Get ready. A few moments later, the furious sounds of a massive body moving through the dark water reached their ears. The creature was a true giant, easily towering above the waves, even though it was walking on the... the fucking shit, this thing is huge. Even though it was walking on the bottom of the canyon. Well, no surprise, full of terror and awe, Sunny watched as the thing they were waiting for came closer. Soon he could discern the general shape of it. Two hills that rose above the water were its shoulders. What the fuck? His shoulders are hills. And right between them were the heads, right between where the heads should have been, ... Let me let Ellie out. Small little mini cliffhanger. Oh, where was I? ... There was nothing but emptiness. It's headless. There were 7 headless statues of Forgotten Shore, but only 6 marks on the map created by Nephis. Not because she had failed to learn of the 7th one, but because the 7th statue never stayed in one place for too long. What the fuck? It's moving? And now that stone Colossus, I'm sorry, is this Shadow of the Colossus? And now that stone Colossus was walking through the flooded canyon, his shoulders scraping against one of its walls. The white chest of the headless giant pushed the water away, creating whirlpools in his wake. Raising one colossal arm, the statue easily destroyed the protruding remnants of the ancient bridge that got in its way. The debris rained into the black waves, disappearing into them without a trace. This was their fast and safe, comparatively method of traveling to the edges of the Forgotten Shore. Motherfuckers, I thought we were gonna be riding like a sea giant, like Aquaman. No, man, I didn't know we were actually playing Shadow of the Colossus. Insane game to play, by the way. Look, I might be a little bit older than you guys, but man, I remember playing that jam-packed demo, and you're finding the first Colossus in the demo of Shadow of the Colossus. Oh my god, bro, that shit was insane, bro. That, like, I had like an epiphany. I was like, yo, what the fuck? These things are huge. Oh, it was so good. Truly insane. Sunny thought, stunned by the sheer scale of everything that was happening. Come to think of it, it was really ironic. The next day, after he had decided to return to some semblance of sanity, something this crazy was about to transpire. It was as though the whole world was mocking him. Shaking his head, Sunny turned to the cohort and yelled, "He's coming!" The Blackwater was already to their knees. The members of the cohort tensed and prepared themselves for what was about to come. They only had one chance to do this. Failure meant death. A few moments later, the massive shape of the stone Colossus entered the circle of light created by Nephis. Its shoulders rose above the waves, close enough to now invisible shore of the flooded canyon for them to see every tiny crack on the surface of the weathered stone. Not wasting any time, Changing Star ran forward and jumped. A moment later, the blade of her sword hit the surface of the statue and slid deep into it as if melting the ancient stone. Using the sword as purchase, Nephis started to climb the giant's shoulder. Oh. So, literally Shadow of the Colossus. Literally climbing it like in Shadow of the Colossus. The other members of the cohort were following closely behind her. Kai was carrying Cassie in her arms, okay? Flying to the top of the Colossus with no problem at all. Motherfucker has hacks. Castor seemed to simply disappear and appeared a moment later on the giant's shoulder, standing side by side with Changing Star. They just jumped up there. Only Sunny was having trouble, with him not being very tall and all the water level rising with each second. He found it hard to gain enough momentum for a proper jump. Damn, how irritating. However, before he could come up with a solution, Effie simply grabbed him by the collar and tossed Sunny into the air. What? Whoa, what the fuck? For a few short moments, Sunny was flying. Damn, she's fucking strong. For a few short moments, Sunny was flying. All he could hear was wind whistling in his ears. Then he landed at the top of the giant statue, rolling and barely preventing himself from falling back into the cold embrace of the dark sea. Before he could even stand up, the mighty hunters landed near him and grinned. Such a light. However, before she could finish the phrase, the stone Colossus moved, making everyone stumble and fall. Leaving the ruins of the bridge behind, he turned around and indifferently began walking away from it. He was walking south. Oh shit, okay, so they're going towards that same location of the Crimson Spire, right? Because it was towards the southwest? They were technically going west-south? Shit, man, I forgot which fucking direction they're going. I think they're going the right way. Slight time jump, but we are slightly a-okay. We're ready now. Wait, hold up. Can't forget my timestamps. We are changed. We are ready to go. So we still got about 30 minutes before we potentially leave, if we are on time. So chapter 228 is called Crossing the Canyon. Hey, rate my fit. Was I able to clean up? No. I think we're good. Shit, I think we're good. All right, you guys let me know down in the comments. 228 is called Crossing the Canyon. The stone colossus wandered the forgotten shore aimlessly for thousands of years. Cassie did not know what power had brought him to life, nor what he was searching for in the depths of the dark sea. She had seen a vision of the headless giant passing the ruins of the ancient bridge on a certain day and then traveling south to the very edge of the desolate land. She also knew that the leader of the cohort that had conquered the Bright Castle pursued the 7 statues across the labyrinth for a long time before leaving on his doomed journey. His reasons for doing so were presumably unknown. Sunny wasn't sure that the blind girl had told him the truth about the wandering colossus. In fact, he was certain that there was a deeper layer of secrets surrounding the 7 ancient statues and the importance of the riddle of the forgotten shore. Man. Why are they keeping all this from Sunny? Like, there has to be a way, because like if Sunny knows what's going to happen, I don't think he's gonna make his... Oh, this is what I'm thinking. I think the reason they're keeping Sunny in the dark, in the shadows, is because if he knows what's gonna happen, he's gonna make a very bad decision, and it doesn't lead to their escape of the Forgotten Shore. So maybe them keeping him in the blank would eventually lead to their... I don't know, savior saving them, right? Does that make sense? I think that's what's happening. However, he was in no hurry to hunt these secrets down. Sunny knew all 3 of them, Nephis, Cassie, and himself, were bound together to this cursed place. The strings of fate were wrapped around them tightly, stretching far into the future where the final revelations waited. He was going to learn the truth sooner or later. Until then, Sunny was content knowing no more than he needed to know. The stone giant walked across the dark sea, cutting its surface with his wide chest. The 6 humans were gathered on the circular platform of the severed neck, pressing themselves against the swaying stones. The cold water was spraying in their faces, and the furious winds was threatening to throw them off the moving statue into the deadly waves below. Nephis had long extinguished her flame, so they were surrounded by the absolute darkness. Sunny was the only one who could see what was happening around them, so his role was to serve as the eyes of the cohort. Using the strength of the shadows to hold onto slippery stones, he looked forward to the grim expression on his face. Currently, there was only one thought in his mind: were they going to make it in time? The Colossus was swiftly approaching the other side of the canyon. Sunny could identify it by the remnants of the ancient bridge that were still above the turbulent black waves. However, the water level was rising much faster. Sunny, what do you mean it's rising faster? Looking towards Effie, who called out his name, he lingered on for a few moments, then yelled, "Prepare yourself. We're going to be underwater." What the I'd be so fucking dead, bro. I cannot breathe. I cannot hold my breath for 30 seconds for the life of me. Prepare yourself. We're going to be underwater for a couple of minutes at least. A chorus of curses served as the answer. Son of a fucking bitch. That's what Sunny's saying. Son of a bitch. Bitch, bitch, bitch. Damn, damn, damn. Unseen by anyone, Sunny smiled darkly. This was going to be a second time diving into the dark sea. Wasn't this how Gunlock had begun his journey to the throne of the dark city? Maybe Sunny would be a king himself. Foreshadowing? Would he be the king of the Forgotten Shores? Maybe Sunny would be king himself one day. Now, the black water... Oh, I can see that. He's like the king of the Forgotten Shore. And he's in like that crazy mad state because that's the only way you're able to survive. That'd be fucking cool, dude. Maybe Sunny would be king himself one day. Now, the black water rose higher and higher. The shoulders of the giant were already submerged in its lightless depths. The circular platform was going to be next. They were so close to the shore. As the stone colossus moved across the bottom of the canyon, the platform rose and fell. After another fell, it was finally lost beneath the waves. The cold, salty water crashed into them and then swallowed the entire world. The members of the cohort desperately held onto the cracks in the stone, trying to prevent themselves from being washed away by the raging current. No one would be able to save them if they were. Sunny closed his eyes, knowing that he would not be able to see anything through the impenetrable darkness of the cursed sea. Instead, he relied on the shadow's sense, hoping that it was going to help him feel if something approached them from the depths. Now, all Sunny had to do was hold tight and hope that the headless giant would reach the shore of the canyon before he ran out of breath. Thankfully, everyone present was strong and powerful. Their physical form was either at the pinnacle of human ability or slightly above it. Several minutes underwater were not going to kill them, most likely. Placing himself with this thought, Sunny waited and struggled against the terrible current with all his strength. At some point, he thought that he sensed an unclear shape swim close to the walking statue, but the sensation disappeared. Any second now, any second. But the relief he was so desperately waiting for was not coming for longer than Sunny had expected. Soon his lungs were beginning to burn and his muscles beginning to spasm. Damnation. That'd be a really good volume title, by the way. Shadow Slave Damnation, right? If he was having trouble, the others must. I'm locking in Lost from Light. Volume 2 is Lost from Light. That was a pretty big reveal, or like the whole shadow dance technique was imitated from the whoever Lost from Light is. So I'm thinking that's the volume 2 title. I feel like that's a pretty big reveal. Lost from Light took the shadow dance and turned it into its own fight style. So, and Sunny's imitating now. So I think that's very poetic. If he was having trouble, then the others must have been in far worse shape. After all, oxygen traveled through human bodies with blood, and their blood had not been altered and comprehensively enhanced by the forbidden legacy of the mysterious Weaver. Just as he thought so, Sunny felt one of his 6 shadows slipping from the circular platform. It was Kai Crab. Fortunately, before the Colossus plunged into the dark depths, the charming archer had been worried about Cassie and tied himself to her with the help of the golden rope. Oh, the never-ending rope. Surprisingly, the blind girl turned out to be more resilient than him at the end, and now she was holding both of their weights. Really? Desperately grabbing onto a narrow crack of the ancient stone, he fell unconscious. Kai's unconscious body was floating for a few meters behind her. He was safe for now. But for how long would Cassie herself be able to hold on? When Sunny felt his mind... Whoa, Cassie's a little strong. Okay. Hold up. So it's not just her memory that's protecting her. She can hold her own ground. When Sunny felt his mind weakening, his body was suddenly slammed into the platform with tremendous force. The stone giant was climbing on the canyon, his massive hands grabbed onto the edge of it, and with one devastating pull, the Colossus threw himself upwards. Ah, curse it. Sunny felt as though he was absorbed in the worst amusement ride in the human history. He was aboard the worst amusement ride in human history. His bones groaned, being pressed down upon by an invisible weight. A few moments of this torture and they were above water once again. Desperately grasping for air, Sunny inhaled several times and then weakly looked at the unconscious form of Kai. Crawling toward the archer, he grabbed him and dragged the body back to the rest of the group. Entrusting him to Cassie, Sunny looked down at the dark water below and suddenly growled into a low voice. Turning her head, Nephis asked with a deep frown on her pale face, "Sunny, what is it?" Looking at the torso of the giant statue, he gritted his teeth and lingered for a few moments before answering. Then, in a voice that was dreadfully grim, Sunny said, Oh, what the fuck? We have a passenger. Who the fuck? Whoa. Harus. Harus has been stealthily biding his time and latched on at the last second. It's Harus. Harus is the passenger. Harus is the 7th person, and now we've reached the criteria of all 7 people present. Probably it. No, hold up. Maybe it's not Harus and it's actually Nightmare. No, I'm lying on my ass. It has to be Harus. There's nobody else but Harus, right? That's who the 7th passenger is. That has to be the new person. All right, chapter. Oh, almost forgot to update this. Chapter 229 is called The Passenger. The Colossus rose from beneath the turbulent waves, rivers of the black water streaming down his stone body. Now that the walking statue had climbed out of the canyon, the cursed sea was barely to its abdomen for the moment. Once the dark waters reached higher, the giant would be submerged into them up to his shoulders once again. Sunny had to get rid of the unwelcome passenger. Until then, far below, flattening against the chest of the Colossus, a strange creature had attached... Oh, so it is a creature. Had attached itself to the ancient statue. It looked like a cross between a translucent jellyfish and an eel. Okay, it's not Harus. However, Sunny could see a deformed skeleton of a giant humanoid being trapped within the transparent flesh of the repulsive abomination. It ate something that big. He shivered. Compared to the stone giant, the eel looked rather small. However, this was just an illusion. Really, the creature was as large as a fucking train. How the fuck? What? Its jaws were full of sharp fangs and wide enough to swallow a human whole. Curses! Yo, bro, the deep sea creatures are terrifying, man. If there was one good thing about the situation, was that the eel did not seem to be corrupted be a corrupted creature. Oh, but merely a fallen one. Perhaps it survived in the cursed sea by attaching itself to the true terrors of the depths and feeding off the remains of their prey. As soon as Nephis spoke, Sunny noticed long feelers of the creature trembling and move as though reacting to the sudden sound of the eel turning its head slightly in their direction. When he answered, the feelers ripped once again and the monstrosity turned its head once more, this time staring directly at Sunny Crap. A moment later, the translucent tentacles appeared from beneath the abomination's body and shot up, finding cracks in the weathered stone and pulling it towards the neck of the Colossus, where the cohort was. Changing Star must have felt something, because this tiny white spark suddenly ignited in the depths of her eyes. Sunny put a hand on her shoulder and shook his head. Don't. Stone, giant or not, lighting a beacon in the middle of the cursed sea was not the best idea. Yep. What did I tell you guys last chapter? So Wilderness 101, you don't do that. Everybody's going to be drawn to it. Now that it had escaped the confines of the canyon, the real horrors were out and about. Just like the cohort had discussed before, light was their last resort, something they would summon only if the moment came where there was no other choice but for all of them to fight. And whether Sunny liked it or not, the moment was not upon them yet. With reluctant trial, he turned away and said, "I'll handle it." Really? Oh, he's about to level up. The giant eel was his problem to solve. Yeah, that's great and all, but how the hell, instead of saying how the heck or how the hell, how the spell am I supposed to get rid of this thing? I'm gonna start using that in my vocab more often. What the spell? What the spell? Looking down, Sunny calculated that he had a dozen or so seconds left before it was time to act. The repulsive abomination was slowly crawling towards them, scaling the torso of the giant statue at a disturbingly steady pace. Think. Several seconds later, Sunny approached Effie and kneeled by her side, taking the huntress by the hand. He put something into her palm and said, "Do you feel the Colossus moving up and down? That's his steps. I need you to start counting them. If I'm not back after 30 seconds, throw the thing I gave you in the direction as hard as you can, all right?" We are not sacrificing Effie. No. Effie gave him a nod. Her usual humor was gone, replaced by grim determination. "Good, well, wish me luck." The huntress lingered for a moment and then said, "Good luck." When he was ready to walk away, she suddenly gripped his arm. Sunny stopped and raised an eyebrow. "What?" Effie hesitated before speaking. "Listen, Sunny, if you die..." Fucking Effie. "Listen, Sunny, if you die, I can have your soul shards, right?" He stared at her for a second, his face twitching. This wench. Oh, wait, sorry. It's not Effie doing it. Sunny's going in. "Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If I die, all my shards are to be thrown into the sea. No one is to get anything. Understand? This motherfucker. If I die, no one gets a benefit." But with that, he left the cohort behind and walked to the edge of the swaying stone platform. Here goes nothing. Jumping down, Sunny slid the giant's shoulder and then caught himself from the falling all the way into the raging waves by grabbing onto a cracking stone. To his right, the shoulder was slowly moving as the Colossus swung his hand. To his left, a curved path of stone led all the way across the chest of the statue to its other shoulders. This curving path was in fact the color of the giant tunic, carved masterfully from the stone by the unknown sculptor. Stepping on it, Sunny struggled to keep his balance on the swaying, slippery surface and hurried forward. Soon he was directly above the climbing eel. The abomination was already close, allowing Sunny to discern every repugnant detail of the translucent giant body. That's fucking gross, dude. What the hell? Why does everything have to be so disgusting? A moment later, he sighed. "Let's try this." Summoning the prowling thorn, Sunny gritted his teeth and cut his forearm, smearing some blood on the blade of the kunai. Then he used all his strength he had in his body to hurl the dagger down. The prowling thorn spun in the air and hit the giant eel right in the place where its eyes should have been. Sunny did not notice any visual organs on the creature's body, but on the deformed humanoid skull hitting under the flesh. There you go. Hiding beneath the flesh, that's where the eye sockets was. So that's where we aim. The kunai wedged itself deep into the monster's head, causing a small fountain of crimson blood to erupt upwards. Of course, such a tiny wound was nothing for a creature of this size. For a moment, everything became silent. Then hundreds of slender tentacles suddenly exploded from the eel's flesh and shot in Sunny's direction in a chaotic, slithering mass of translucent flesh. Damn it. Forced to dismiss the prowling thorn to avoid being thrown off the ledge, Sunny lunged forward. A moment later, the tentacles reached his previous position and cracked into the stone, sending shards flying into the air. Sunny kept running, knowing that the tentacles were just seconds away from piercing him. The sounds of the breaking stones were thundering just behind his back, getting closer and closer with each moment. The prowling thorn appeared in his hand once again. It's such a good weapon, man. The prowling thorn. What a badass kunai. No, right? Yes. The prowling thorn is the kunai. Reaching the end of the path and with nowhere left to run, Sunny cursed and jumped straight into the darkness. He's so fucking mad, bro. He's just like, fuck it, Leroy. He's like, Leroy Jenkins. He just goes in, bro. Zero hesitation. I really like this version of Sunny. Fucking zero hesitation. He just fucking jumps right into it. I love it. All right, to be honest, I got about 19 minutes left before I need to leave. But you know what? We got time for one more I'm already ready. I just gotta brush my teeth and I'm ready. All right, after this, I will see you guys hopefully later tonight for live stream. If not, potentially tomorrow for live stream. But chapter 230, oh, not chapter 2. Chapter 230 is called Precarious Battle. It feels like we're gonna turn on the light, right? The EO tried to catch him, but was a second too late. Crab. Well, you know what? Let me put battle music for a good final chapter. Play some loop hero. Sloop this bitch. I feel like this is fitting. A little bit too loud, right? Maybe. All right. The EO tried to catch him, but was a second too late. Crap. Falling towards the dark wave, suddenly threw the kunai in the direction of the stone giant's head. Instead of a weapon, the Colossus was holding a tool that resembled a mason's hammer. The kunai curved in the air and wrapped the invisible string around its shaft. This is going to hurt. Sunny plunged into the darkness. A moment later, the string drew taut, and he found himself swinging through the air at a terrible speed, flying underneath the Colossus' stone fist. He almost touched the black water within his feet. Oh, so like scraping against it. But then the inertia pulled him up and away. Oh, okay. So it pulled him up and then away. After a few seconds of weightlessness, so he's dangling, Sunny landed on the hammer's head, so he lets go. He lands on the hammer's head and lets out a shaky breath. Without wasting any time, he dislodged a prowling thorn and pulled it into his hand, then wedged the dagger in a narrow crack of... Okay, so yeah, the prowling thorn is a kunai. Narrow crack of the surface of the giant hammer. Landing on it was one thing. Staying near, though, that was something else entirely. The Colossus was swinging his arms as he walked, so Sunny basically found himself on top of a giant pendulum. Not only was a hammer swing back and forth, but the angle of the surface was standing on and constantly changed, making it hard not to fly off or slide into the raging sea. Almost kneeling, Sunny held onto the kunai and trying to keep himself from falling. Then, his face pale and grim, he looked and glanced at the eel. "I'm right here, you slimy worm." The abomination lingered for a few moments, considering whether it should continue to climb up or follow the sounds made by the prey. Finally, it twisted its long, repulsive body and slid over the shoulders of the giant, crawling down his arm. Towards Sunny, come on, come on. He was hoping that his blood will have the same effect of the giant eel, and it had the corpse eater. Both were presumably fallen creatures. If one was poisoned to death by the blood weave, why couldn't the other? Sunny had not cut himself with the prowling thorn for the fun of it. Sadly, his blood seemed to have no effect on the eel whatsoever. The monster continued to pursue its prey without showing any signs of being poisoned. So it's not poisonous really, it just tore the leech from inside because the stupid thing swallowed a whole lot. And the weave imbued by my blood with the odd quality of always being attracted back to the larger masses of it. Let me reread that again. So it's not poisonous really. It just tore that leech from inside because that stupid thing swallowed a whole lot. And the weave imbued my blood with the odd quality of always being attracted back to the larger mass of it. The corpse eater's innards were in the way, so damn it. Oh. His hopes of killing the eel were crushed. Now Sunny was stuck on the swinging hammer, with his only path of escape blocked by the swiftly approaching abomination. Damn it all. Letting go of the kunai, Sunny summoned the midnight shard and slashed at the slender tentacles that approached him. Even enhanced by the shadow, the blade of the Tachi failed to cut the... What? It failed to cut the flesh of the fallen creature and instead simply batted it away. How the fuck is it not able to cut it? Not good, not good. The eel had two types of tentacles. Some were thick, powerful, and few in numbers. These ones were used to push its massive body forward and to hold on to the swinging arm of the Colossus. The other tentacles were slender, long, and numerous. These were the ones that Sunny now had to dodge and fight against. The closer the eel got, the more tentacles assaulted Sunny from all the sides, dodging the defecting them while maintaining his balance. On the chaotically swinging hammer was also an impossible task. Luckily, Sunny had practiced this firm battle style from the Stone Saint and incorporated it into his own techniques. Its steadiness and indomitability were translated through the grounded footwork, which allowed him to plant himself on the stone surface of the hammer and refuse to be thrown off or moved even by an inch. Between choking breaths, Sunny couldn't help but think that Nephis was right. The best fighter weren't those who were the strongest, but those who were the most adaptable. which is going to be fucking Sunny in the future, man. The foundational style he had learned from her and served him well on the streets of the Dark City, but if he had continued to follow it narrowly and neglected to add flexibility to his technique by incorporating the Stone Saint style into it, he would be dead by now. The Dream Realm was wild, unpredictable, and often defied logic. It threw all kinds of horrors at those unfortunate enough to step foot inside its vast expanse. Take the situation, for example. What kind of a person would imagine that one day they would have to fight a translucent eel? Fucking not me, man. That is for sure. They would have to fight a translucent eel the size of a train atop a walking stone colossus. So not only are you fighting a Colossus from Shadow of a Colossus, you're fighting the fucking train from Final Fantasy VI or the FF14 dungeon, right? Like, that's pretty insane. And actually, no, you don't fight the train in 14. You're on a train a few times. But yeah, it's literally it. It's like you're fighting the train boss from FF6 and while you are on a fucking Colossus. That's insane, dude. Sunny certainly never expected to find himself in such a situation. Only a complete lunatic would. I'll be honest, he just has to suplex the eel, and I think he'll win. And then he uses the kunai's invisible string to, like, pull himself back up. That's why adaptability was the most important trait an awakened fighter could possess. But even though Sunny had taken all the right steps, the second he had left to live were numbered. The onslaught of the slender tentacles was already too much for him to handle, and they were only growing at number 28. With an indomitable sigh, Sunny allowed the shadow to slide off his body and rush towards the approaching eel. Instantly weakened, he gritted his teeth and tried to resist the attacking tentacles as best as he could. One of them hit against the blade of the midnight shard with a tremendous force, sending it flying from his hand into the darkness of the night. The other hit him across the chest, causing Sunny to yelp in pain and roll back, almost sliding off the surface of the hammer. Catching himself at the last moment, he pushed away and rolled, barely avoiding being pierced through the chest by the third. Oh, he would have been so dead. He had nowhere to retreat anymore, but it was fine. 29. Fuck does 29 mean? Oh, Effie's still counting. Back at the circular platform, Effie strained her muscles and hurled the thing entrusted to her by Sunny into the air. What the fuck is the ordinary rock gonna do? It was the ordinary rock. How the fuck does the ordinary rock save us? Flying away, the memory suddenly screamed 30 steps. Its loud scream caused the feelers of the eel's head to ripple. The giant creature suddenly turned its head in the direction of the noise. Its terrifying maw opened its hunger. Oh, and that gives Sunny a window to attack. For a moment, it paid Sunny no attention. Its weight also shifted, leaning over the abyss of the black water. Right then, a human shadow glided right in front of it, and the two crimson eyes ignited in the depths. The stone saint stepped out of the shadow, which then instantly wrapped itself around the taciturn monster and filled her with immeasurable power. The shadow's sword flashed. Sunny wasn't trying to kill the eel, despite all the stone saint's might. She was too weak to slay something that abominable. He just wanted to sever one of the main tentacles that supported most of the eel's weight. Oh, and then it falls off. Augmented with the power of the shadow, the stone knight easily cut into the flesh of the eel and sliced one of the thickest tentacles apart. Losing its purchase, the repulsive creature shuddered and slid helplessly from the swinging arms of the Colossus, falling into the turbulent black waves with a splash. Then it was gone, pulled away by the strong current. You know what? I think we're ending on a good note. Oh, thank God there's no cliffhanger. Sunny fell to his knees and drew in a deep breath. Then he said in a cold, raspy voice, this ride ain't free, bastard. Next time, buy a ticket. Such a fucking cool line, Sunny. What a badass motherfucker. Fucking Sunny, dude. Sunny's speaking like if he's in a fucking Hollywood blockbuster movie where he has to hit him with like what's that, like that cool one word, like with a cool phrase, you know? He's like Tom Cruise, like, or no, he's like hasta la vista, baby. You know? He's like hitting them with those Hollywood blockbuster lines. He's like, next time, buy a train ticket. Fucking Sunny, dude. He's funny, dude. I love him. Sunny's such a good character. All right, man. All right. I'm excited. I gotta head out. I got 10 minutes before I gotta go on a little trip. And then we should be back later tonight. Hopefully, I'm not. I hope I'm back later tonight. But yeah, we will be back. That being said, I love you all, man. Shadow Slave is getting more and more fun. I'll be honest, we only have about... Hold up, let me wear my glasses like Ryan Gosling. We only have about 120 chapters before we've... Wait, hold up. Should we do it the other way? Sorry, man. I saw Project Hail Mary and my whole persona changed. So we only have about 120 chapters before the finale. Is Ellie in my room? Oh, I can hear Ellie sniffing at my door. We have about 120 chapters before the Forgotten Shore arc. Here's the thing. Is it a spoiler if I know what the second arc is called or no? So I know Forgotten Shore is, I assume, the first 2 volumes. Unless volume 2 ends right now in like 5 chapters. Or maybe 250 and then it's 100 chapters, volume 3. If you guys want to tell me the name of the next big arc and it's not a spoiler, go for it. If it hypes me up, let me know. If you guys think it'll convince me to read more, let me know. Maybe somebody in the comments can be like this if we should reveal the title, and like this. No, somebody who, I mean, whoever wants to be first and second. The first person should put whoever wants to tell him the second arc, like this comment, and then whoever wants to like this, whoever doesn't want him to know the second arc, like this comment. Whichever one has the most likes, I think we'll go based off of that. I think that's fair. And then when we're live and we finish the Forgotten Shore, you guys can tell me. Or maybe it's too early to even have this discussion. Let's just fucking keep reading, man. I'm getting hyped. A part of me feels weird that I just stopped reading COI, and now I'm kind of like funneling in and locking in on Shadow Slave. I know I'm not locked in as much as I used to. Like, if you guys tuned in for our Lord of the Mystery streams, we were easily streaming for like 2 hours minimum. And now it's like, right now I'm only able to do like an hour or so. But again, I am hopeful that that will change in the future. You know what, man? I can see why he wears his glasses like this. It's always on me. I don't have to worry about losing them. And then when I need them, just put them on. I get it. I see why he does that now. All right, guys. Peace. Have a beautiful, amazing day. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow for more Shadow Slave. Peace. Have an amazing day. Later, guys.